You'll never look at sidewalk apples the same way again. Here's how to turn forgotten urban fruit into sunshine-powered candy that literally saves the planet. And there's a hilarious math question baked right in. Picture the fruit that falls onto pavements every late summer. Scabby apples, ugly pears, purple plums too small for anyone to bend down and pick. Most of it rots, sending methane into the air, while families just a few blocks away stretch budgets to buy factory-made fruit snacks wrapped in plastic and shipped across continents. Today I'm teaching you how to gather that free, unloved bounty and transform it into solar-dried fruit leather so sweet, so chewy, and so outrageously good that you'll never buy a packaged fruit bar again. The technique is called passive solar dehydration, and it uses nothing but sunshine, a cardboard box, and the power of airflow. A niche skill that tackles food waste, carbon emissions, and food desserts all in one sweet strip. First, the harvest. Walk your neighborhood with a clean tote and gather fallen tree fruit. Windfalls are perfect because they're already naturally ripe, often a bit bruised and completely free. Give them a rinse in a basin of water with a splash of vinegar to remove any surface microbes. Now de-stem, de-pit, and chop into chunks. Don't bother peeling. The skin holds fibra, antioxidants, and pectin that helps the leather set. Throw everything into a pot with just a tablespoon of water and cook gently until the fruit collapses into a fragrant mush. If you're using apples or pears, a sprinkle of cinnamon turns this into autumn heaven. Plums and berries love a pinch of cardamom. Once soft, blitz the mush with an immersion blender until it's as smooth as baby food. Taste it. Is it sweet enough? Because you're concentrating flavors later, it should taste slightly sweeter than you want the final leather. Add a dribble of honey or a few chopped dates if your fruit is tart, but trust the fruit's own sugars first. Now the science. Solar dehydration works because water molecules inside the fruit absorb energy from sunlight and become so excited that they leap out of the puree into the air. All you need is a space where the temperature stays between 43 degrees Celsius and 63 degrees Celsius 145 degrees Fahrenheit, the sweet spot that evaporates moisture without cooking the fruit and destroying delicate vitamins. Build a simple solar dehydrator out of a cardboard box, cut a large window in the lid, tape a sheet of oven-safe clear plastic over the hole, and line the inside with black construction paper. The black paper absorbs sunlight and converts it into heat, while the plastic traps that heat like a miniature greenhouse. Place a flat rack made of a clean window screen or wooden dowels a few inches above the bottom, and cut small ventilation holes near the lower sides and one near the top of the box so warm, moisture-laden air can float away and be replaced by drier air. This is passive solar air convection doing the work. No electricity, no moving parts. Spread your fruit puree onto a sheet of parchment paper on the rack, no thicker than a coin. Slide the tray into your solar box, angle the whole thing towards the sun, and let the day do the rest. Depending on the intensity of the sun and the humidity, your leather will be ready in 6 to 10 hours. You'll know it's done when the surface is no longer sticky and the sheet peels away from the parchment like a flexible piece of fabric. Roll it up, slice it into strips, and store it in airtight glass. It keeps for months without refrigeration. Now here's the math that makes you grin. One medium apple that you pick off the ground and solar dry saves about 0.37 kilograms of CO2 equivalent compared to buying the same weight in commercially dried apple rings that were grown with chemical fertilizers, refrigerated, and trucked 1,800 kilometers. If your block of 150 neighbors gathers 2,000 pounds of unwanted fruit in a season that's just a little over 13 pounds per household, you collectively offset roughly 1,600 kilograms of CO2. See? That's the equivalent of not burning 179 gallons of petrol, keeping a typical car off the road for 4 whole trips from Los Angeles to New York. But here's the funny part. What if we tried to dry that 2,000 pounds of fruit using the body heat of flamingos? A resting flamingo puts out about 10 watts of thermal energy. To deliver the same drying power as 1 square meter of direct sunlight around 1,000 watts, you'd need 100 flamingos standing in a neat grid, constantly radiating. And because fruit puree needs hours of steady heat, you'd have to rotate shifts of flamingos while keeping them perfectly still and unflustered. The sheer number of flapping pink birds required to dry even a single batch would blot out the sun, which defeats the whole purpose. Stick with the solar box. This isn't just a snack, it's a quiet revolution. Every strip of leather you peel away means less methane from rotting fruit, fewer trucks on the highway, and a tangible link between your hands and the weather. It's a skill that costs almost nothing, scales from a windowsill to a whole community centre, and tastes like the purest expression of wherever you live. The next time you see a mangled pear on the footpath, don't step over it. Pick it up, take it home, and let the nearest star turn it into gold. Your taste buds will thank you, and so will a somewhat less hot planet. And if anyone ever asks you how many flamingos it would take to do the same job, you'll have the only answer they'll never forget.
What if I told you that the most powerful tool for fighting climate change is already in your kitchen and you've been throwing it away? Every onion, carrot top, and celery leaf you toss into the bin could become a rich, flavorful broth while also pulling a lever against global food waste. Globally, 1/3 of all food produced is wasted, rotting in landfills and releasing methane, a greenhouse gas far more potent than carbon dioxide. But there's a delicious fix: learning to cook a zero-waste root-to-stem broth. This lesson transforms your kitchen scraps into gold, reduces your carbon footprint, and saves money. Begin by collecting vegetable trimmings in a reusable freezer bag. Onion ends, carrot peels, leek greens, mushroom stems, garlic skins, herb stalks, and even tomato cores. Avoid brassicas like broccoli and cabbage, which can impart bitterness. Once you've saved about 4 cups of scraps, empty them into a large pot. For deeper flavor, spread them on a baking sheet, drizzle with a little oil, and roast at 200 degrees Celsius for 20 minutes. The dry heat triggers the Maillard reaction, creating hundreds of new aroma compounds that give the broth a toasty, savoury depth. Transfer the roasted scraps to the pot, cover with cold water by a few centimetres, and add a bay leaf, a few peppercorns, and a pinch of salt. Bring to a boil, then reduce to a gentle simmer. Let it burble uncovered for at least 1 hour, allowing the water to extract minerals, sugars, and umami-rich glutamates from the vegetable cell walls. The kitchen will fill with the comforting scent of slow-cooked sustenance. After simmering, strain the liquid through a fine mesh sieve, pressing gently on the solids to release every last drop. What remains is a fragrant, versatile broth completely free of synthetic bouillon cubes and wasteful packaging. Use it as a base for soups, risotto, or to cook grains. The spent solids can go straight to compost, completing the circle. This simple act diverts organic matter from landfill, where it would decompose anaerobically and release methane. If every household adopted this practice, the collective impact would be staggering. Now, a kitchen math challenge to put that impact into numbers. Suppose your household saves 1.2 kilograms of vegetable scraps from the bin each week by turning them into broth. Over a full year, that's 62.4 kilograms of waste avoided. In a city of 200,000 households, how many metric tons of scraps would stay out of landfills annually? And if each kilogram of food waste in a landfill produces 0.5 kilograms of methane, and methane has 28 times the global warming potential of carbon dioxide, calculate the CO2 equivalent savings in metric tons for that city. Then imagine scaling it nationwide. What would those numbers look like? Share your calculations with a friend while sipping a mug of warm, homemade umami. The answer might just inspire a movement, one stockpot at a time. Remember, you're not just simmering scraps, you're cooking up climate solutions. The maths above is a playful way to grasp the scale, but the real impact happens every time you save instead of toss. Next time you chop vegetables, see the waste not as garbage, but as future flavor, rich in minerals like potassium and magnesium extracted from the peels. Your broth will taste of wisdom and a cooler planet. And if you're hungry for more arithmetic, try this. If a country of 50 million households adopted this habit, the annual CO2 equivalent reduction would be staggering. Work it out. Now imagine that methane gas filling Olympic swimming pools. 1 ton of methane at standard conditions occupies roughly 1,500 cubic meters, and an Olympic pool holds about 2,500 cubic meters. How many pools worth of methane would be prevented from entering the atmosphere? The numbers become deliciously absurd. Do the math, then share a bowl of broth with someone you love. Every spoonful carries the subtle flavor of a cooler future. So act!